Adam Ebbin, Libby Garvey, and Krupicka. And Libby will go first. Next in Senate District 31, Annie Ariaziga Soto and Margaret Ebola. And then in House District 49, Stephanie Clifford and Alfonso Lopez. So Libby, you're up.
Good morning. It's great to be with you all here today, and I want to thank Steve for his service and congratulate Faroon on the new position. I think that's great. I've enjoyed and admired this group since about 2005, I think, when David Evans first brought me here, and it's an honor to speak to you today as a candidate. I'm running for state senate because Richmond is not working well, particularly for us here in Northern Virginia. The Commonwealth has not been investing in our future, and the results can be easily seen in the traffic problems I suspect we all faced trying to get here this morning. Lack of proper investment in education, the environment, jobs of the future, the health and well-being of our citizens is less obvious, but perhaps even more damaging to our long-term economic future. And I know our good legislators here in this room are trying hard, but to address these issues and end the gridlock here in traffic, we need to end the gridlock in Richmond, and that means we need to be doing things differently. All too often, legislation is passed that offers band-aid solutions or no solutions at all to the really big problems we face. This happens in part because legislators on both sides of the aisle often work for short-term gain rather than work together over the long term to address the big issues. 15 years ago, we had a similar kind of gridlock in our Arlington public schools. Our schools were seen as good, but educational quality was increasingly uneven, and our building program was mismanaged. I ran for school board because the status quo wasn't working well. Today, our schools are recognized as to be among the academically the best in the nation. We're building our buildings on time, on budget, and recently LEED certified. Our good schools attract businesses, and our educated workforce helps keep people there. I did not make this happen by myself, but I saw where we needed to go. I know how to balance priorities and build coalitions to get things done. I've helped our schools make some very smart investments. We now have full-day K in all our schools. We provide quality preschool to almost all our at-risk children, which is one of the best educational investments we can make. Another wise decision is paying off right now. June 9, we're going to start building Wakefield High School, the last of our high schools to be renovated. And 5 years ago, we thought it wasn't possible. Bond money was running out. I insisted that we get the building at least into design. And I knew we needed to be ready for any opportunity. It took pressure from a coalition of parents I built from rival high schools, which included Republicans, to make the design happen. But when the economy collapsed in 2008, Wakefield was in design and we were ready. We are building at $30 million less than we thought and years earlier. I could tell you more stories about what I've done in the past 14 years that involve work around the state and across the metro region, but time's short, so I'll get to the point. If we are to address the big problems and start investing properly in transportation, education, the environment, the well-being of our citizens, so Virginia will be a good state for business and for families 20 years in the future, we've got to work differently in Richmond now. It requires building relationships over years, across party lines, and around the state. I've done work like this for years. And now I'll take some questions. And if there are no questions, I'll talk longer. I thought we were going to take questions.
The questions are after everybody's had a chance to speak.
All right, question. All right, that's fine.
Okay, I'll wait. Okay. Next up is Adam Ebbin.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As Ron said, I'm Adam Ebbin. I've lived in Alexandria for the last 22 years and spent 8 years in the General Assembly. Previously, I spent 17 years helping small businesses and growing businesses with marketing, whether it was with an ad agency, the Washington City paper, Microsoft, or National Publishing Association. After that, I served as the Chief Deputy Commissioner for Governor Mark Warner at the Department of Labor and Industry, helping build registered apprenticeships for quality jobs in Virginia and worker safety. This session, I passed a solar energy loan fund bill that will help not just consumers and the environment, but will help Virginia installers and help Virginia manufacturers of solar panels. My green energy bill takes effect on July 1st. Unfortunately, there's some in Virginia who don't recognize the need to combat global warming, like our Attorney General. I won't share my full views on him this morning because that would take more than 3 minutes. But I will say, as a delegate, I played a key role with Senator Whipple in securing $1.5 billion in federal matching funds for metro capital improvements. And though I was not part of the problem that created BRAC in Alexandria, I worked on solutions to mitigate that nightmare on Seminary Road. I put in a budget amendment for the use of streetcars to extend to the Columbia streetcar line, Columbia Pike streetcar line, plan system to take commuters to Metro, and I worked with Delegate Charnel Herring to secure money from the state to deal with the horrible effects of the traffic. With our pressure, VDOT agreed to provide $100 million for a grant directly to the building. I want to work with Delegate Scott Zurevelt to deal with some of the traffic nightmares on Route 1, and I want to deal with more solutions that we can use dealing with transit. Over 2008 to 2010, I have supported small business permitting programs for one-stop permitting. I supported small business jobs grants and better criteria for the Governor's Development Opportunity Fund. I built the effective relationships to work not just across the aisle, but across the Commonwealth. To continue to stand for the business community and for you in Richmond, I need you to stand with me for the next 10 weeks. I'll look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Krupicka is next.
Good morning, everybody. It's Krupicka. Sounds like Eureka. You may see a sign here that says that. I'm running for the Virginia State Senate because I think we need new ideas in Richmond. During my public service and professional career, I have always worked to find new ideas to solve problems. On the City Council in Alexandria, I've played a leading role in making Alexandria an environmental leader, saving us millions of dollars in energy bills. I've played a leading role in streamlining and simplifying bureaucracy for small businesses, making it more transparent, making it easier for folks to get through permitting processes, and making sure our small business community has the kind of support it needs to be successful. I've worked hard to improve efficiencies between city and school collaboration, saving the city and schools millions of dollars, and also improving our ability to serve children, youth, and families from the time they're in school to the time they're outside of school. And I played an active role in making sure Alexandria has a high-capacity mass transit vision for its future. I ran for the City Council because I believed we needed to build a true mass transit vision for our city, and now I'm working to make sure it's implemented, and I want to make sure we do that across the Commonwealth. In my business background, I've worked with technology companies in Northern Virginia to create jobs and bring about new innovative businesses that are critical to our economy's future. When our Attorney General starts attacking science and attacking progress, he is not just attacking our universities and common sense. He's attacking the future of our economic success as a state. He's attacking the ability of us to innovate and to attract employers to this state who care about science and innovation and jobs. I'm running because we've got to stop that politics of blame that we see too often in Washington, D.C., we see too often in Richmond. The politics of blame that sets us back, doesn't focus on solving problems. We need new ideas to move forward. So if, like me, you look at the challenges we have and you say, we need to do something different, and you think education should be the top economic priority for our state, we should make sure we have more science, math, engineering kids, we should start early, and we need to make sure college is affordable, then I ask you to join our campaign so that we can make sure Virginia is the top state in the country to get an education. If you believe, like me, that our soldiers fighting overseas deserve to come home to a state that welcomes them, that has the infrastructure to deal with their health care and their mental health and their other challenges for their families and their children, then I ask you to join our campaign so we can make sure Virginia is the top state in the country for our veterans coming home from war. If you believe, like I do, that Northern Virginia needs to move to a mass transit vision for its future, that we're not going to be able to widen our roads anymore, and that we have to build a dedicated mass transit system that connects people from Arlington to Alexandria to Fairfax, and we need people in Richmond who have done it at the neighborhood level, who have done it at the community level, and who have made it a cause of their public service, then I ask you to join our campaign and help me go to Richmond. And if you believe, like I do, that the best environmental work we can do as a state starts in our local communities, where there's innovative work going on in Arlington, in Alexandria, in Fairfax, and across the Commonwealth, and we need people in Richmond who've been on the ground floor making that kind of environmental innovation happen, who've been at the ground floor of leading it and implementing it, then I ask you to send me to Richmond so that I can help make sure we have partners in Richmond to make it happen now. We've got to go on the offense as a party. Part of this job in a very blue Democratic Senate seat is to make sure we're not only leading the charge in terms of policy, but that we're also doing everything we can to strengthen our party across the Commonwealth and to help Democrats across the Commonwealth be elected. If you send me to Richmond, you can be sure I will be a partner and champion for progressive values and policies, but I will also work tirelessly to make sure we build the party, because we will not move forward as a state if we do not improve our numbers in the House and the Senate. Thank you.
I haven't had any questions passed to me up here at the table, but we'll take them from the floor. Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, just curious, what do you think the single biggest challenge for businesses that you guys will face in the Senate?
Transportation. It's transportation. You know, I've been asked the question, what bill I'd most like to have passed, and actually it's a dedicated stream of revenue for transportation, because to get that bill passed, we have to really start to do some really good planning so that we can get everybody on board and sell the plan. And that's what we need to do. We've been not doing a very good job of one, I think we kind of know what we need to do, but explaining it to people, and then they can trust us so that the revenue they know is going to be going to solving our transportation problems. If we don't fix our transportation problems, we're going to just stop the engine of growth in the state. And that's here. That's right here. And it requires not only working with legislators around the state, but it requires working with the whole metro region, because Northern Virginia rises and falls on the health of the metro region. And we can't forget that when we're working in Richmond as well.
I think education is number one challenge. Virginia is one of the top states in the country for science, engineering, and math jobs, but our colleges and universities and our high schools aren't producing enough graduates to fill those jobs for the future. It is critical as a Commonwealth that we lead in workforce development. We have to have the most talented workforce. I think we're doing that now, but we have to maintain it, and we have huge risks to our ability to maintain it. North Carolina subsidizes higher education for in-state students to the tune of about $24,000 a year. Virginia subsidizes it to the tune of about $8,000 a year. That discrepancy is an enormous economic challenge for us. North Carolina has made education their top economic development priority. It's why they're attracting high-tech jobs. It's why they are attracting new innovative businesses. We have got to compete with that in order to be successful. And as someone who's served in the technology industry in Northern Virginia, who understands how hard it is to find good engineering, science, and math students, who understands how critical it is that our workforce be top-notch to attract the employers we need to the state, I would say education has to be our top priority.
Started STEM Academy in
Hi.
Arlington.
I would say quality of life, which is broader than just education or transportation, includes worker training and education and transportation, which is why companies locate in Virginia. In terms of workforce training, one thing we've got to remember is that we're going to have thousands and thousands and thousands of soldiers coming back from overseas who have not graduated from college. We need to give them a portal to match them with jobs, and employers a portal to hire them. While they have leadership skills, we need to provide certificates for them at community colleges, even if they don't have credit. In terms of transportation, we've not raised the gas tax since 1986. There's not the political will to raise that tax to the point where we'll have enough money. We need to work further on transportation, particularly on transit. And on education, I've supported this year a bill to have reading and math specialists in each school building. And we need to do more innovation to make sure that we'll have, okay, time is up.
Okay, next question. Tom Greason, I believe, had his hand up. Oh.
What quality would you say that you have that sets you apart from the others? Staying positively.
I'm a proven legislator over 8 years with the ability to pass legislation in the conservative House, including progressive legislation, earning the respect of my colleagues, and getting bills through the Senate once they get through the House. I want to be in the Senate because I don't just want to see bad things happen in the House. I want to kill them when they get to the Senate. And I know that once we pass bills in the Senate, they'll be taken with more seriousness in the House.
Well, I have a lot of life experiences that help me identify with the issues that a lot of our citizens are facing. More than that, I know how to get things done. At times, I have gone against the establishment, and I've gone to the mat for my citizens when I've needed to do that, and it's not been easy. At times, I've worked within the system, and I do a pretty good job at that. At times, I work around the system. In the Council of Governments, I have worked there on the Council on the Emergency Preparedness Committee, and I work with Republicans. I work with people from around the region. In the state, I was appointed by Governor Warner and then worked under Tim Kaine on the P16 Council, which works on education policy, and it brings together business leaders, educators, and legislators. And that was within a set group. I'm also the vice chair of a group called Virginia Cares, which helped get better funding for education around the state. That was a rump group of superintendents and school board members. And one of my best colleagues there was from Bedford County. I have worked all around the state and the region with all kinds of different people. I know what you need to do is build relationships. You get to know people, you find out what is their issue, what do they want, what do they need, and then you work with that to get to where we all need to go. And I've been doing that for years, as I've said, and that's exactly what I think we need in Richmond today.
I think all of us have good resumes with great statewide experience, so I'm not going to give you my resume. It's on my website. I'm happy to talk to you about it another time. I think if I could define my philosophy of public service, it's to be a problem solver. In local government and business, you have to solve problems. You have to take big, complex, challenging things and boil them down and bring people together and find a solution. I'll give you one example of something I've done that I'm proud of. It's not the most glamorous thing in the world, but it gives you an illustration of how I work. Alexandria, for decades, has had real challenges with its taxi industry. For 20 years, between the 80s and 2000s, we've had regular protests amongst taxi drivers and really difficult challenges where elected officials have tried to create a new regulatory system that would satisfy all the issues in the industry. No one was able to do it. When I got elected to the council, I was asked to take on this challenge, and I spent 18 months working with about 20 different constituencies and interest groups, from consumers to drivers to companies, and I brought them together around the table. I'm a trained mediator and negotiated big deals, and I pulled out a unanimous vote on the council that actually solved a problem that no one had been able to tackle for 20 years. I like to solve big, complex things that other people find impossible. I like to get them done.
Okay, we will take one more question. More this group? Anybody else?
Energy supplies and energy prices are going to continue to be a problem, and blaming speculators is fun, but it doesn't actually solve anything. How do we promote more energy efficiency at the state level? I mean, how does the state government help us do better with what we have in this area?
I think it's a great question. One of the challenges we actually have in local government is we want to provide incentives to businesses and property owners to make their buildings more energy efficient, to make their businesses more energy efficient, so that we can focus on conservation. And we don't have all the tools in our toolbox that enables us to actually make that happen. One of the things I'm working on right now in Alexandria, which will hopefully turn into legislation that we can talk about next year during the General Assembly session, is new incentives that local governments can provide to private businesses and commercial property owners to help them make their buildings more energy efficient. The vast bulk of the energy we're wasting is in old buildings and old operations that haven't upgraded to new technologies. If we can give local governments tools to incentivize and encourage their local businesses to make their properties more efficient, to run their businesses more economically, we can make an enormous impact on that conservation question. But it's about empowering local governments to do it. And as a local government guy, I think the secret to a lot of our environmental challenges is giving our local governments the tools to actually get things done.
Thanks. Regarding energy efficiency, one thing I'll mention, I put in a bill, also with Senator Whipple, to require that state buildings and municipal buildings, and this was with the support of ACO and DML, would have green buildings for all the new construction. And the bill did not pass. We worked with Governor Kane. It was adopted as an executive order so that new government buildings will have green facilities. And I've supported consistently allowing local governments to have complete authority to do what they need to do.
Well, I think incentives are great. I think we also need to be working with the federal government to get some funding to support. You know, one of the favorite stories that I heard from the Tom Perriello campaign was when he talked about the dairy farm, the largest in the state, and how there was a problem with all the waste from all the cow manure. And he helped them get a grant to start producing electricity from that manure, which saved the environment and saved money for the farm. And I think we just really need to do a lot more, not only getting funding and incentives, we need to educate people about what's possible. Quick story. My daughter's been living in Vienna, Austria. When I was visiting her, she said, "Mom, be really careful about how you do the trash. You've got to sort things really carefully." And I said, "Well, how come?" She said, "Well, they actually have an incinerator. It's really specially modified, and that's what's heating the water here." So the trash from everyone in that building was going to an incinerator that was heating the water. I think we have no idea, most of us in this country, what's happening elsewhere and what can be done. And we need to educate people about that and then teach them about how that can save us money. Not only does it save the environment, it saves us money. It's a win-win. And I think actually that the key there is education. So it's not only education about our kids, we need to be educating our citizenry as well. And I look forward to being able to do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to the next